Hello all and welcome to Crochet Designs. My name is Mary, and in today's tutorial we are working on the single crochet round for each of our Tunisian squares that we've been working on. We'll talk about the Tunisian squares in a moment, but today we're working on the single crochet round on each square, then the join as you go, and then 2 rounds. It's kind of like a round and a half if you think about it, of a base border round, getting ready to create our border for our placemat. Now, did I say that all in one sentence? I think I did, without breathing. No commas, no full stops. All right, so moving right along, we would spending the day creating this part of our Tunisian squares. That will be done in normal crochet using a normal crochet hook, a 4mm crochet hook. We did use the 4mm to make each one of these Tunisian squares, and it will also be done using the cream color combination. For the cream today was chosen by the lovely Dorothy, ... ellipsis I like to call her, and there you go. This is the color that was chosen. Now, we used Bendigo Woolen Mills 8-ply cotton, which is a 3-weight or a DK weight cotton. You could use any cotton that you like. You could have used a 4-weight, 10-ply Aran. You could use anything that you want. It's a placemat and it's for you anyway. So it's entirely up to you what you use, yeah? I think I only used between 7 and 8 grams for each one of those squares. And I don't know how much we're going to use here yet because we haven't completed our border round. Just know that you may need probably between 20 and 30 grams, maybe even less, depending on how many rounds you want to do for your border once we get onto the border. It's not compulsory to do all the rounds that I give you. You can do some of them, you can do all of them, or you can just leave it as it is. It's entirely up to you. But Dorothy chose a beautiful cream to match all these colours together. Fantastic choice, Dorothy. Thank you very much. Now, if you have not created these squares, firstly, I want to make an apology. We do have builders next door making so much noise, so hopefully you don't hear too much of it during the recording here. But anyway, the Tunisian squares themselves, if you have not made them, I've left a link for each square. The very first 4 links you see in the description box down below will be these 4 squares. So you can head off and make the 4 squares and then return back here and create our joins and so on. All right, now first square, the pink was I have to look at my books, I can't remember. The color combination was chosen by Rosalind. This one here was chosen by Anna. This one was chosen by Anne, and this one was chosen by Fluffy Kitten. So now we have Dorothy's color, who is going to, well, we are going to put all our squares together using Dorothy's colour, and there you have it. Guys, I'm not going to talk too much because the tutorial does go a long time. Let's just assume you will need for this tutorial between 20 and 30 grams of the cream, but assuming that will hold you out until the border rounds as well. When we do the border rounds next week. Quick heads up, do not cut your thread at the end of your row. I should say round, for this part because we are going to use the same colour to make the border rounds. All right, what else can I tell you? The very first part of the tutorial will be washing and blocking. Now, if you don't want to wash and block and you want to skip that section completely, just move to that time right now because we're about to head over to the blocking mats and do some washing and blocking right now. All right, so if you don't want to do the washing and blocking, go to that time. For everyone else, join me right now and we will do our washing and blocking. Alrighty guys, real quickly we're going to add some water, and it can be a little bit of hot and a little bit of cold, and while the water is running, pop in a little few drops of plain vinegar. Sorry about the noise guys, that tap does play up a little. So this is warm water now, it's not cold and it's not hot. It's actually a little bit tepid, it's more cooler than hot, which is fine. So just give it a squish, swish, 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 swish. Swish it around, get all that vinegar in there. It's starting to get a little hot now. I'm going to turn off the hot and let the cold run in because you don't want it too hot. Simple. And all you do is place your squares in there. And what the vinegar does is, that's 4 squares by the way, and what the vinegar does is it not only softens up your squares, but it also stops the dye running from one square into the other. So what I'm doing now is squishing the water into the fibres, each stitch, if you will. It doesn't really matter, because what I want you to do now is to set it aside for an hour. Meet me back here and then we'll pop it on a blocking mat. So head off and do an hour's worth of crochet, and I will meet you back here once you're done. Alrighty guys, so here we are ready to block. Now I've got a really old, and we are talking old tea towel sitting right there. You can use whatever towel you have in stock, and I've just got to be careful because I pinned myself before. I want to make sure there's no blood. Don't you love it? I took the pins out. Anyway, moving right along. Just grab one piece at a time and just give it a gentle squish. That's it. You don't need to squeeze, wring, hand wring, nothing. Just pop it on the towel like that. Grab another piece. Alright, so now what you want to do is you want to hand squeeze that. Alright, let's move the water out the way. So we can do this together. Can I move this over here? Sure can. There we go. So all you're doing is folding your towel over that way. Right. Fold it that way. Fold it that way. However way you want, it doesn't matter. It really doesn't. And then you just roll it up. Roll it up all the way like that. Give it a squeeze. You don't have to overdo it like I'm doing, probably just a gentle squeeze, or in fact you can probably just do that. That's the way I usually do my washing and blocking. I don't usually hand wring it, I usually do that. Just checking that my finger's not going to bleed on me. Don't you love it? I just picked up some pins before and now I'm bleeding all over the place. Alright, so you're grabbing one of the squares. In fact, I might leave the pink one till last. Let's grab one that's really tiny. I have a funny feeling we need to do the pink one again so that we can make it as small as this purple. But anyway, moving right along, grab your square. And if you've got a blocking mat like mine where you've got lines, you can marry yours up to the line. I just pulled a thread, can you believe it? You can marry yours up to the lines that you see there. If you don't have it, you could use a measuring tape, whatever you want to use to give your square a good stretch. All right, so you can start by doing it this way, or you can do it the other way. I'm going to do it this way and just pin it in on a line, or again, measure your square, but stretch it right out. In fact, I'm going to move it right up to the top there on that line. And then I'm going to stretch it out. I feel like I've pulled a stitch there, don't you love it? Alrighty guys, I had to transition that because I just couldn't move it. But anyway, moving right along, you pop your pins all the way across on a straight line, yeah, and stretch your purple as far as you can. I only want to put 4 here, I don't want to put that many. 1, 2, 3, 4, yeah. So stretch it as far as you can, yeah, and put 4 along there, 4 along the sides and 4 along the top. So give it a good stretch. Like someone said to me on one of our videos that no amount of stretch is going to fix this. Maybe. No amount of blocking, that is. Maybe, but we're going to try anyway. If it doesn't work, it doesn't work. Don't you love it? She's not even sure. So keep putting your pins in, straighten them up, give them a really good stretch. And this pin is not working very well. Yeah. All right, so you can see how it's bowing. You're going to pull it up real tight and give it a stretch. And there are your pins ready to go. Now, if you've got a few extra pins, you can pop them in. There's no right or wrong way of doing this. If you don't see the stretch properly, give it a bit more stretch there. Do you know what I mean? If it's pulling somewhere, just give it a stretch. All right, there. You don't need to put all these pins, but I'm going to anyway, just for fun. That's one square. And I can see this one really pulling, so let's do that. How's that? It's pulling a little bit in here. Grab another one, pop it in. Not going to hurt it at all. If anything, it's going to give it a really good stretch. So that's your first one. Again, you can measure it with a measuring tape that way and a measuring tape that way, and make sure that each square measures the same distance. If it doesn't work, well, we can try another way once we're done. But in the meantime, that's how I want you to pop your squares on. All right. So what I want you to do now, and let's bring this out a little bit. Oh, that's going the wrong way. Here we go. Go over to each corner of your mat and pop your next 1, 2, and when you get to this one here, wait for me there. All right. So do these 2, and I'm going to pop it on fast for you so you can see me doing it, but you don't have to hear me talking. I'll pop it on real fast. We'll get these 2 on, and then we'll move over to here. But before we do, just if you're using squares like this, just count how many squares over you went. I went 1, 2, 3, 4 across. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 across this way. Each length is smaller than the other, all right? So I went 5 squares along here, 5 squares along there, 4 squares along there, and just do the same for each square, all right? Or your measurement along there, your measurement along there, do exactly the same for each square. And off we go. Alrighty guys, so that is these 3 squares on there now. Just going to pop the pink one on now. Let me just drop the camera that little bit more so you can see what I'm doing. Alright, move that out of the way. Well, we could just move this up a bit. And I ran out of pins, so I had to get some more white ones and a couple of other spares. But for the pink one, we don't need to stretch it as much because it was very large. So my suggestion would be to pop it on the same amount of rows. Like you saw me counting in between the rows. I kind of messed up and I had to count, was it 5 or 4? And I had to count twice, right? So you're just counting exactly the same. And my suggestion would be to start at the base, because I went 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Come on, Mary, you can do this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So your first pin would go there. Grab your next pin, all right, and you go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, or the measurement that you counted, all right, the measurement that you counted, yeah, and then you go 1, 2, 3, 4, which is what I had. Was it 4? 1, 2, 3, 4. It was. So this is very, very big, this one. So you don't need to stretch it at all. Maybe the stretch on the 5th stitch across, maybe not even, you don't need to stretch that. So my suggestion would just be to place your pins on your square. This doesn't need much stretching at all, just your centers a little bit, so it all marries up. Yeah, and then just place some more on those the center piece. That's the part that you need to stretch with. All right, so you're just placing some more there. One more on this side and one more on this side. All right, so what you want to do now, grab your measuring tape, measure each square. Let's see if I can bring them all in. Yep, measure each square. Make sure they are all measuring the same stretch. Now you can already see the pink is not stretched that much. I've just split a stitch there, don't do that. The pink is not stretched that much, but all the other pieces, look at the stretch on that one, and that one there is very stretched. All right, so don't stress too much about measurements. Again, we're going to pop a single crochet row on our piece, single crochet row on each square, and then we're going to pop border rounds on it. All right, so now that I look at it, I've noticed that purple does not line up with everything else. All right, so I'm just going to give it a stretch. Make sure they all measure exactly the same. I've run out of pins, I need another one. Here we go, there's one here, that'll do. Make sure they all measure the same, and it's really pulling, all three pieces are pulling and your pink isn't. That's normal, that's the nature of these 3 squares, all right? Leave this overnight, return in the morning and continue our putting our squares together and then putting a border on. We're going to transition now. It'll be overnight for me and a few seconds for you, and let's continue creating our placemat. Alrighty guys, here we are a day later, and it's not exactly a day for me. I haven't done any recording for 3 days, and so this has been sitting here for 3 days. So yes, it will have blocked, it will still turn up, but mine would have blocked really well because yours truly left it for 3 days. But you can still see, as far as I'm concerned, you can still see the slight turn up on it, just a little bit on both edges, all right? Ta-da! And there we go. All right, let's head over to the workstation and start putting our squares together. Alrighty guys, just quickly before we start, letting you know that we have builders next door that have been making noise on and off every 5 minutes. So you may hear the video go into music and then maybe even a voiceover later on because it's really loud. But at the moment they're quiet. So we're going to get started with the very first square. Now the first square was your pink one. And if you have weaved in your tails, that's great. But if you haven't, what I want you to do, and the tail on your left-hand side, making sure this is facing you, right? On your left-hand side, that's pretty much where we started. So what I want you to do is just turn it all the way around and face your tails on your right-hand side. Pop your hook, and I'll give you a close-up here. Pop your hook in the stitch right here, and that's that really big space you see there. Pop your hook in the space, and we're going to add our cream cotton. Pop your yarn over the hook, pull it through like so. Just grab your thread, passing it forward so we can lock it into place with a chain and a single crochet, 1. All right, pop your stitch marker in that stitch like so. Right there in that stitch here, and then you're going to do a second single crochet. You will need to pop a third one in, but that's coming at the end of the round. All right, so pop your tail at the back now, and with Tunisian you can actually see the little V's you can go into. Okay, it's the same as if you're working in the normal crochet. All right, so you can see the little V's. You're popping your hook in the stitch of your next one, which is your stitch number 3. Now the builders have started, it's very noisy now, so I'm going to pop this on silent, get to the end of this row right here, and what I want you to do is count from this stitch marker all the way to the end of the row, and you should have 15 stitches before you go into the corner. All right, so we've got 3 so far, count up to 15 and off we go. And 15 is right here. Hold it there. What I want you to do is go with that stitch marker 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. And make sure you have 15. All right. Now, if you don't have 15, I'll show you what to do in a minute. But for everyone else, that last stitch you have right there, you need to pop 3 single crochets. But your first single crochet is just your normal, and your second is your normal. But you want to place a stitch marker in that second stitch right there, like so. And then place a third single crochet in the corner. So you have 3 single crochets in your corner, and that's what's going to look like in every round. So here you have 2. When you come back this way, you're going to pop your third one right there. all right? So don't stress for now, but count your stitches across. From this stitch marker to this stitch marker, you should have 17 single crochets, like 1 all the way up to 17. If you don't, right, make sure that every one of your squares that you do create later has the same amount on the smaller side as this first square. And on the longer side, you should end up with 21 stitches across. Make sure that each square has the same amount, all right? If they don't, I will show you right now how you can make them even. So let's say, for argument's sake, you didn't have enough stitches across and you need to increase by 1, right? So you're going to do a single crochet in your second stitch and do single crochets all the way across. Let's pretend like I've done them all the way across, right? Then when you get into a center stitch somewhere, you do 2 single crochets, try it again, 2 single crochets in the same stitch there. All right, don't leave that big space. I just did it to show you that in the center somewhere, pop 2 single crochets in the same space. Now, let's say for argument's sake, you had too many stitches across in one square and it doesn't match the others. So you want to do what we call single crochet 2 together. So you pop your hook in the stitch, pull a loop through, into the next stitch, pull a loop through, 3 loops on your hook, yarn over, pull through all 3 loops on your hook. That's closed 2 stitches up to form 1, all right? That's only if you've got too many stitches and you need to decrease. That's called a decrease, all right? But we're not going to do that. This was the 3rd stitch. We're going to single crochet all the way across this way. Now from here to here, this stitch marker to the next stitch marker should be 21. So all you're doing right now is counting 20 stitches across, all right? Or 19 actually. So you've got your 1, 2, 3. I'm going to pop this on silent, count 19 across, and off we go. Is in the stitch before your corner, because in your corner you're going to place that hook, grab the tail, pop it at the back, pull a loop through and do your 20th stitch, and then you're doing your 21st stitch. Grab your stitch marker. I'm going to close this one and I don't know why, but there you go. Pop it in that 21st stitch. Okay, now remember before how I said you needed to make sure you had 17 single crochets from this stitch marker to this stitch marker? Now you need 17 single crochets from this stitch marker to your next stitch marker. But at least count 15 across before you get into the corner. All right, so off we go doing our 15. And 15, and I had a little trouble getting in that one, and 16 is in my final stitch. Now that can be a little awkward, just pop it anywhere you like, grab your tail, pass it at the back, do your 16th stitch, do your 17th, which is your second stitch in that corner, pop your stitch marker in there. All right, I'm hoping all this is making sense. All right, so count your stitches across this way, you should have 17. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, and 17. All right, so you've done 2 single crochets in that corner. You need to pop a 3rd one in the corner. And from here to here, you need to get 21 from this stitch marker to this stitch marker, or at least get 19 all the way across, which you'll end up right in the second last stitch. All right, so do 19 stitches all the way across. I'm going to pop this on fast, and we've already done 1 and 2, and let's do 3 and go 19 all the way across, and off we go. And 19. All right, so it might seem a little bulky there. That's only because the stitch is very loose. Pop your 20th in there, and that stitch marker there will be your 21st. You're going to slip stitch into that stitch marker. That's a really loose stitch for me, but anyway, and pull up your loop and give your work a cut. All right, that's a really, really loose stitch there. Look at it, look how big the gap is. And this side's a little tight. All right, never mind, as long as you get 21 across this way from here to here, get rid of that hair, 21 across, oh, it's a good thing you didn't see it, 21 across this way from here to here, 17 from this stitch marker to this stitch marker, and 17 from that stitch marker to that stitch marker. I'm puffed out, I'm rushing because the builders are making so much noise. So let's get on with our very next square, and that's this guy right here. So move this one out the way, grab this guy, make sure the tails are on your left hand side and you're looking at the nice knitted section and not that jagged edge, because this is the right side of your work. So there's your 2 threads here. What did we do before? We turned it this way and we go into that very, oh, it's very far away. Let's try it nice and close. Now I really pulled that stitch just then. Pop your hook in the top of that stitch. Grab your little tail, pop it over, pull the loop through, rushing again guys, I'm sorry. Pass the tail forward. Slow your video down if you like. Chain 1 and single crochet in the same stitch you are in, crocheting over your chain 1. 1. Grab your stitch marker. All right, so pop a second single crochet in that stitch right there, but not the third one. The third one's going to come in at the end of the row, the round actually. Grab your tail, pass that at the back, and you're going to do 1, 2, you're going to do 19 stitches across this way. Remember, like we did with the other square, and know that if you can't get your 19 across, you can do your increase where you put 2 single crochets in one space, or you can do a decrease where you do 2 of them together. So make sure you have the same amount across the top of the length of your piece as you had with this piece here. And off we go. And 19. Now mine's very tight down here. Make sure you get all your stitches in, because I'm really struggling to get into that tight stitch. I may have to just go over it and see what it looks like going over it. Oh, it'll be all right. All right, so count your stitches across. Make sure you have 19. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, or the same amount of stitches that you came up with on the longer edge of your piece. All right, I've done 19 because I'm going to do 20 and 21 in that final stitch there. So popping your hook in the final stitch, grab that tail, pop it at the back, do 20 and 21 there. Pop your stitch marker in that 21st stitch. like so. I'm going to be 1 stitch marker short now because I dropped it on the floor. Don't you love it? All right, now you pop your 3rd stitch in the same space like so, and you do your 17 across this way. All right, I'm not going to let you sit here and watch me struggle with my really tight stitches. So what I want you to do is do just that. 17 along here, well actually altogether it'll be 17, yeah? It's 15 across, and in your 16 and 17 in your corner, put your stitch marker on the 17th stitch, pop a 3rd single crochet in that corner, turn your work and do your 21 across and 17. So from corner to corner it's 17, from corner to corner it's 21. All right, but that's corner, the center stitch from the 2nd stitch there to the 2nd stitch. So single crochet in every stitch, 3 single crochets in the corner, a stitch marker in your 2nd. Single crochet in every stitch, 3 in the corner, and a stitch marker in your 2nd. Get to this stitch marker right here, meet me there, and we will talk about what we're going to do next. Alrighty guys, here I am at the end of the round. Before we continue, I found that here I had to be a little careful down the base here because I omitted that 1st stitch and jumped into the 2nd one and found I was short along here. So I took this side undone and checked where I put my last stitch, which would have been in the right spot, but I popped it in the final spot. So you've got to be careful when doing these little Tunisian squares. They're easy to miss the stitch, all right? Especially in the tighter stitches like this one. All right, so I've got my 15 across. I need to pop a 16th right here. Again, sorry about the noise, guys. And then my 17th is where the stitch marker is. So what I'm going to do, I think I've split the stitch here. Oh no, it's all right. It's just tight. I'm just going to slip stitch into the stitch marker stitch. I'm not going to remove my stitch marker, okay? Just slip stitch across, pull up a loop, and cut that piece. I'm looking for my scissors, yeah. All right, cut your thread, and that is square number 2 done. All right. It's a little tight still for that piece, but once you marry up your single crochets later, everything's going to fall into place. And you'll find that will stretch a little bit and it'll look a little tiny bit stretched, but that is okay. It will still fit your square. So that's 2 squares done. Let's start our very next square one more time, making sure that the nice edge is facing you and not the jagged edge at the back. And your tails are always on your left hand side. Turn your work this way, pop your hook here or there, it doesn't matter, whichever suits you. I like to pop it here because I like to show you how to do that first tail, but you pretty much know what you're doing. If I can get it in the stitch, we can go. Here we go, there we go. All right, grab your new thread, pop it over the hook, pull the loop through like normal. We're too far away, and let's get close. All right, so you know this part, we've been doing it all along. Pass your tail forward just to lock it into place with a chain 1 and a single crochet over the tail like so. Pop your stitch marker in that stitch right there. Do your second one in the corner like so. Pass your thread at the back. Third, so you've got 1, 2 and 3 and 4, and we're going to pop this on fast, get to our corner right here. This is going to be awkward because I can see these stitches really tight, but you want to get 19 across. All right, we've done 4 and off we go. All right, so I struggled, guys. My stitches are so tight down there. I'm going to count them anyway, but I lost track of count because they were so tight. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. Oh, good. It's right. I really lost track. I had to go back twice. I didn't know what I was doing. So let's go 19, which these stitches are so tight. I don't know if yours are as tight as mine, but there you go. And 20 goes into the very last stitch with the knot. Pop your tail at the back and do your second stitch, which makes it the 21st stitch. Grab your stitch marker. I can find it, there it is. And once again, you're popping your third stitch in the same spot. And you need to do 15 across this way. So your 1, 2, do your 15 across this way, do your 16 and your 17th there, pop your stitch marker in your second stitch, and then pop that third stitch. All right, so it's pretty much the same as the other one. I'm not going to let you sit here and watch me fight it like I did before. What I want you to do is continue this square like you did the other 2 squares. 15 stitches across this way, all together, 17 here, 17 there, 21 here, 21 there. Make sure you pop your stitch marker in your second single crochet of your corner, and you need 3 single crochets in each corner. All right, continue that square, get to this stitch marker right here, meet me there once you're done, and we'll talk about what we're going to do next. Alrighty guys, so here we are at the end of this round. This square was a lot easier for me. I didn't have any tighter stitches along the side. It's usually that very first row that's tight, but otherwise, there you go. Never mind. I have, let's count them quickly, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. So my 16th square is, sorry, let's try that again. 16th stitch is right there, like that. And then we are slip stitching to join like normal. Pull the loop through on our hook and pull up a loop. Don't take your stitch marker out. Cut your work. And yes, I'm rushing. These builders are making so much noise. You now have 3 squares done. Let's get on to the last square. She's rushing, guys. All right, make sure that you are on the right side of your work. Make sure you're on the right side, but make sure your tails are on your left-hand side. Grab your work, pop it to the side, and pop your hook. Here we go. Let's get a close-up. In the top stitch, right there. Grab your new thread, over the hook, pull the loop through, and your little tail comes over like so. Chain 1, single crochet in the same stitch. You know this part. Pop your stitch marker in there. Remember, you need 4 stitch markers for each square. Yeah. Second stitch goes over your tail, so you're locking that tail into place. Pass the tail at the back. Once again, you are doing 19 stitches across. So 1, 2. I was out of frame there, sorry. 1 and 2. And off we go doing our 19 across. 3. I'm going to pop this on fast so you don't hear my builders. And get to the corner, and we want 19 stitches. So 4. Those stitches were really tight. Did you see me struggling? Excuse me. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19. I struggled with those stitches. Really, they were so tight down below. But there you go. Into your 20th stitch. And it's also going to be a little tight. Pop your tail at the back. Do your 20th stitch. And do your 21st stitch. Grab your stitch marker. Right there. Place it in that stitch. And that's your 21 from there to there. And now we're going to put our third single crochet in there. Remember, we've only got 2. And there you go. And now what are you going to do? Your 17 across there. See how tight those stitches are? It's so tight. All right, so 21 there, 17, 21, 17. Yeah? I'm going to let you head off on your own and do that. I don't want you to see me fight with it. Do your sides. Remember 17, 21, 17, 3 in each corner, and a stitch marker on your second stitch. All right, head off on your own, complete this square, get to this spot, and I'll meet you there once you're done. Alrighty guys, here we are at the end of the round. Now I'm not going to waste your time and counting because I counted mine off air and I'm rushing because of these builders. Don't you love it? Pop your 16th stitch in that stitch, your final stitch there, and we have our 17th there, and I've split my yarn, so don't mind that. Just pop your hook in the stitch, pull a loop through and pull it through to the loop on your hook. Chain 1, don't cut this thread. Remove your stitch marker for a moment and just replace it in that thread. Alright, like that. For the moment, we're not going to be cutting this thread because this is how we're going to start our join. Alright, so leave your cream thread there, flip your work and weave in a couple of these ends. All right, let me just try one real quickly and you're going to do the rest off air. Sorry guys, transition that because it always struggles to thread the eye. I always struggle to thread the eye, as you do. So what you need to do, I'm not even showing you what to do. This is where our purple thread is, and all you're doing is going under some of those white loops and splitting some of your purple thread as you're going. Alright, so splitting some of the purple threads. Don't pull the needle through yet, because what I want you to do is check the front. Make sure you can't see the needle, and if you can't, perfect. Just pop that needle through. It might be a little tight, and for me I've got a bit of a short tail, only because I cut the bottom part off. I shouldn't have. Just go through your very next few stitches. Not many, like that. Because you're going to turn your work, just make sure you're not pulling it too much there, yeah? And go back in the same direction you came from, but skipping that stitch going over. And just weaving through some of your threads at the back. Simple, simple. Like so. Now you can do it a third time. I'm running out of thread, so I'm going to leave that. But if you've got more thread, do it a third time. I don't know how I made that small. It's really odd. I usually leave long tails, but there you go. Anyway, your job now is to do exactly the same. But actually, what I want you to do, flip this tail, flip this work. Come on, Mary, you can do this. All right, that's the right side of our work. Do the same for all your other tails. Now, I've done all mine off air and I've put them in an order. Don't worry about that. You can worry about that later. But what I want you to do is weave in all your ends, okay? If you don't want to weave that last tail end in, don't worry about it, and I'll show you how to do it when we finish our piece. So weave in all your ends. Meet me back here once you're done and get ready to join our squares. Alrighty guys, now that you've weaved in all your ends, and that's in all your pieces, we're going to start by making sure that all the squares are facing the right side that we've just completed on each square. Alright, going to move these other squares out the way for now, and we're going to start attaching our squares. Alright, now this is a tricky way of attaching. If you don't like this way, you can always do this round of single crochet on each square and then sew your pieces together. But we're doing a join as you go, and it can be a tad tricky. In that same stitch you are in, you're ignoring your chain, you're doing your single crochet. That is your corner stitch. So you need to pop a stitch marker in that stitch there. Now I think I've split it. There we go, that's better. I hurt my finger, but it doesn't matter. I've got others. Now, a second single crochet in the same spot because it's a corner, yeah? And then you're going to single crochet into every stitch you come to all the way across. Once again, I'm going to pop this on fast and get to that stitch marker right there, and off we go. Alright, so here I am, the end of our row, right there. Oh, not our row, sorry, our side. And we've done just the one side, yeah? So you're going to single crochet in your stitch marker stitch, one, do a second one, remove that stitch marker, replace it. Oh, I really struggled to go in there. And do a third one right there, making sure you're not missing this next stitch. You're doing your single crochets until you get to that corner there, and then we're going to make some changes. Let's pop this on fast and off we go. Alrighty, we've got our second last stitch there. And we have one last stitch in the corner. You're going to pop one single crochet and a second single crochet. Hold it there. Remove your stitch marker. You're not going to replace it at all. Not at all. What we're going to do is bring your squares back like so. You're going to start joining this piece to your very next colour, whichever your colour is going to be. Mine's going to be this one here. So we're going to join that, I'm sorry, just remove that one to that one there, and then we're going to go around that way. All right, so that's exactly what I'm going to do now. So grab the next colour that you want to join onto this one here. All right, and remember you're joining the shorter sides together for now. We will be joining the longer sides down the base, but we're joining the shorter sides. So find a piece where your shorter sides are going to be joining. All right, find the colour you want and let's get on with it now. For now, you normally would place your third single crochet there. You're not going to do that. All right, you've got your first and your second here. So what you're going to do, this is a join as you go method, so it can be a tad tricky. Yeah, in this corner here, you're going to place your first single crochet, and I've split my stitch, so I'm just going to pop it in the stitch there. So in your corner stitch, you're going to place your first single crochet. Lift up your loop. Go over to that first single crochet from the opposite side. Try that again. Last single crochet from the opposite side. Tighten your loop and pull it through like so. And pop a second single crochet in that corner. Lift up your loop, pop it over to the opposite side and pull your loop through like so. Alright, what we're going to do here is, actually I should have left it up. Sorry guys, I should have left it nice and close. We're going to continue. All right, you've done your 2 single crochets there, yeah, and now you're going into the very next stitch with a try that again, with a single crochet. Lift up your loop, go to the opposite side, find a stitch, the very next stitch you see, pop your loop on and pull it through like so. Single into your next lift up your loop, and so on. This is the easy part now, guys. Yeah, single into your next. Make sure you're keeping your stitch sort of your tension the same. Yeah, lift up your loop, stitch, pop your loop on your hook, pull it through, single in the next, and I'll split the stitch there. Let's try it again. Single in the next, lift up your loop, hook in the next, pop your hook loop on your hook and pull it through like so. Now I'm not going to show you the rest of this because I think you know what you're doing. If you're not sure, just go back a few stitches and check it there. But try to keep your tension the same. See, that was coming a little loose and I just tightened it a bit, yeah? Don't pull too tight, but don't leave it too loose either. Try to keep your tension the same. And you are doing a single slip stitch all the way through. Don't forget to lift your thread, take your hook out, pop your hook in here, and then pick up a loop and pull it through. All right, get up to about the second last stitch and I'll meet you there once you're done. Alrighty guys, so here we are at the end of this side, okay, and I can't remember, 1 or 2 left. Let's have a look. 1, no, yes, 1 left there. Pull up your loop, 1 on the opposite side like so, and pull your loop through, and then we have our corner stitches. Now you're going to do 1 in the corner stitch, if I can get it there, and 1 in there, and then we can remove that stitch marker because that corner's done. Pull up your loop and into the very corner stitch that you see right there. That was a very tight stitch there, yeah. Corner right there, and pull that loop through like so. And then in the same corner we are popping a 3rd single crochet. All right, remember we needed to put 3 in there, so single in your next, single in your next, single, single and single. All right, so your singles now, right there, push it, you need to do your single crochets all the way across, do 3 single crochets in there, pop your stitch marker on your second one, single all the way down here, wait for me there, and then we will talk about what we're going to do next. All right, continue along that way, get to the stitch marker, and I'll meet you there once you're done. Alrighty, and now I've gone across there, gone all the way over to that stitch marker. I haven't taken it out yet, but I've done the stitch just before the stitch marker. When you get into your stitch marker, do your 3 single crochets, 1 and 2. Remove your stitch marker and replace it. And do your 3rd one in there. Then you're working along the base edge of your piece. And I'm going to grab a stitch marker and just place it, I don't know, a stitch before the work. And we're going to work on fast right up to that stitch marker. And I'll meet you there once you've done. I'm not going to head off on my own. We're just going to pop this on fast and single crochet into every stitch all the way across until you get to your seam line or that little stitch marker there, yeah? And off we go. All right, I'm getting close. Let me remove that stitch marker for now. And I have 1 stitch there, and that's the stitch that we've actually joined. So what we're going to do is place 1 more stitch in there. That's classified as our 3rd stitch, yeah. Then we're going to slip stitch. You're going to slip stitch there, pull the loop through, yeah, no chaining, just slip stitch, and then you're going to single crochet into the next single crochet all the way across. Alrighty, so we're close to the edge here. In that stitch marker, you're going to place 1 and 2. Remove that stitch marker. Chain 1. Just pop the stitch marker in there for a minute so I can show you what we're going to do next. Alright, so that's what you've done so far. This is where you started. We went all the way across. We attached one square and then we came down here and closed off that square. Because if you faced it this way, you're about to attach, what have I done with them? The next 2 squares. Alright, so you're going to attach the pink, you're going to get to here, you're going to come down here, turn, come back, reattach, go across there, come back over here, and then we're going to finish our piece. Alright, so for now, we're going to attach the pink, and let's do just that. Alright, so what you want to do is you want the longest side of your pink, not the shorter edges, but the longer edges. And just face it that way so you know what you're doing. Yeah. Grab your hook, place it in the thread that we chained before. So if you've lost your chain, make sure you've got a chain 1. Yeah. And this is where we're starting, right where that orange stitch marker is. Yeah. Remember, this is the right side of your work, still facing you. Now remember, you've placed 2 single crochets in here. So when you come over here and pop your first single crochet in that corner, do your single crochet, remove that stitch marker, lift up your loop, ignore the chain, going into the first single crochet here, pop your loop on your hook and pull the loop through. Do the second single crochet in that corner, pull up your loop, jump into the other side, pop your hook. Now this is the second stitch in that corner, yeah? Pop your loop over your hook and pull it through. Now you're just going into normal every stitch all the way across like you would any other join, okay? It's just that corner that's you need to put 2 single crochets and then 2 slip stitches across, 1 in each slip stitch, of course, yeah, but that's all you had to remember, to make sure you are still placing your 2 single crochets in that corner. In the meantime, that's pretty much easy. Yeah, what I want you to do is do all the way across until you get to a stitch, or get to 2 stitches before your stitch marker. All right, so single in there, slip, single slip, single slip, get to 2 stitches away from your corner, meet me there, and we will talk about what we're going to do next. Alrighty guys, here we are at the end of this section. Alright, and I asked you to get to the last 2 stitches. So you do your second last stitch, your third last stitch, pull up your loop, and do your stitch here, pull through, do your second last stitch before your corner, pull up your loop, and do your second last stitch there. And what I want you to do in the corner is place 1 single crochet, lift up your loop, and here what you're going to do is go in the space of the corner, not the stitch but the actual space of the corner, and pull, without that stitch marker coming through, and pull that stitch through. Let's remove that stitch marker, you don't need it there anymore, but you need to go back into it. Okay, so you're chaining 1, tighten it up, and you're going back into the stitch for your next single crochet. And now you're going down the pink. Alright, so straight down to the pink, all the way down. All right, so I'm one stitch off the corner, go into the corner 1, into the corner 2, remove that stitch marker. Oops, not like that. The third one will come later, because what we're going to do now is add our next square, which is the purple. Now you can add it any way you want. It doesn't really matter. I don't know which is the front. I think that's the base. It doesn't really matter. There's no right or wrong way of adding your squares, all right? So what we're going to do is just, don't lose a stitch for starters. Now I forgot to chain one, so you're going to need to chain one, grab your next corner and do a single crochet in the tight stitch of that corner right there, single in there, remove that stitch marker, I don't need it there anymore. Do your single, lift up your loop. I'm going to move this out the way for you. Right, go into, skip that chain, yeah, and go into your first stitch, grab the loop and pull it through. You're going to do a second single crochet in this stitch right there. Pull up your loop into the next single crochet, pop the loop on and pull through. Next single crochet, and you're just moving along to every other stitch across. But now we're going across the purple and the pink, and I'll show you where you are to make sure you haven't popped your work on the wrong side. All right, so it should be like that. All right, oh, we're not even out. All right, should be like that. You should be going along this side. When we get to this corner, we're going to do our final attachment, and then we're going to come all the way over here and attach there. But in the meantime, I want you to go all the way across to this stitch marker, and I'm not going to pop it on fast because it's going to take too long for me to do. So get as close as you can to the stitch marker, maybe the second last stitch. Meet me there and get ready to close up your square. Alrighty guys, so here we are at the end of this piece. Now I have my little knot there. I should have moved it towards the other side, but never mind, that's a knot there, that's not a stitch. Now I'm in my last stitch on this side and my second last stitch there. The last stitch needs to go into the corner, pulling up my loop, grabbing the corner on the opposite side, the first corner. It's the first stitch in the corner. Pull that loop through, grab your stitch marker out of there, popping a second single crochet in there, lift up your loop and go over to the other side, that big space where you're already in, pop the loop on that hook, pull that loop through. Now here you need to tighten it up. You don't want to keep this area loose. All right. So just chaining one, single crochet back into the stitch. Where is it there? And then you lift up your loop, slip stitch into your first stitch in that corner. Make sure you're not missing that stitch or you'll be one stitch short at the end of the row. Yeah? Pull that loop through, single into your next stitch, lift up your loop, go over here, next stitch, loop on your hook, pull through, and the rest is history, as they say, or easy. Not easy, well you've done it before, so it kind of is easy. It's not easy, but you can get into the flow of things once you're done your corner. All right, so that is how gorgeous your corner should look. Let's have a look. Oops, not in the corner, not even in frame, but that's how gorgeous your corner should look. All right, so continue that, get to this stitch marker right here. Let's bring that out and get to the stitch marker here. The last 1 or 2 stitches, meet me there, and we'll talk about what we're going to do next. Alrighty guys, so here we are at the end of this row, and you're probably thinking, oh my gosh, I've got 2 stitches here and only 1 here. That is normal, because you need to place your first single crochet right here and your next one slip stitch across. Yeah, so you've got 1 single crochet there, normal, because you're going to pop your first single crochet in the corner and attach it to your first single crochet from that corner there. Yeah, then you're going to do a second single crochet in that corner, remove that stitch marker, you don't need it anymore, pick up your loop and slip stitch over to the second single crochet there. I hope all this is making sense. You needed to add that extra one on every corner, and we've done that so far. Chain 1, do your third single crochet in that corner, and then in single crochet in every stitch all the way across until you get to your next corner. And I'm going to pop this on fast, and I want you to get to this corner, and off we go. Alrighty guys, here we are at the corner, and in that stitch marker, what are you going to do? Your 3 single crochets, but I think I've split mine, so there's your single crochet. Yes, it's supposed to be in there. So single in your next one, with your stitch marker that is, and oh, not chain 1, what am I doing? A second single crochet, place that stitch marker in there like so, popping your third single crochet, and then single into your next and all the way through. I was a bit far away for that, but you know how to do the corners. We've been doing them all along with each piece. All right, so simple as that. You're going to single crochet, get to this section here. We've got a bit of jumping over to do here. It's sticking out a little bit because that was our first join or slip stitch across. So we're going to do just that. Let's get a nice close up so you can see what I'm doing on this piece. I'm going to pop it on fast, but it's single crochet all the way over until you get to your center there, and off we go. Alrighty guys, I have a single crochet before the corner, so I'm going to pop normal single crochet in there. Then I'm going to pop a single crochet with all the stitches there in the corner. Yeah, we're not going to chain 1, we're just going to slip stitch into the center here like that, and then you're going to single crochet into the next corner. That's your third single crochet for that corner because you've already done 2 there. And then single crochet in every stitch all the way across. It's a very simple section now. Now that we've done all those slip stitches, it's quite simple. I'm going to pop this on fast. And well, no, actually what I will get you to do, I'll get you to get to this next corner. So do this whole area, do the corner, 3 single crochets, place your stitch marker on your second, get to this section here, and we'll meet you there in a moment, and we will do that similar thing that we've done here. All right, get to about a stitch off the center, and I'll meet you there, right there, once you're done. Alrighty guys, asked you to get to this section right here where the center is, and it's pretty much the same as what you did before. Single crochet into your second last stitch there. And then you've got your corner right here. It's a little tricky, but you can see it right in there. You're going to pop a single crochet. That will be your third for that corner. And then you're going to just slip stitch into the center here. No chaining, just a slip stitch. And then single into the very next corner, which is your third single in that corner. And then single all the way across. Super duper easy. So you can do the rest yourself. And we're going to get to that stitch marker. That's all we're going to do for now, because that's where we started with at the very beginning of our square. I'm going to pop this on fast, get to that stitch marker, and I'll meet you there in just a moment, and we'll close off our square. Alrighty guys, how are we going? We're on my second last stitch coming, right there. And the very last stitch is here. Remember, we popped 2 single crochets in that first stitch. So what you want to do is go into the first stitch and do a 3rd single crochet. Slip stitch into the stitch with your stitch marker. Remove your stitch marker. Chain 1. Replace your stitch marker. And we are going to have a little chat. All right, so where we are right now, let's bring that out a bit more. No, we're not doing well today. Where we are right now simply is that. Alrighty guys, so thank you very much for joining us in creating the join as you go and the base border round for our placemat, if you will. And a very special thank you once again to the lovely Dorothy for her beautiful colour combination in helping us join our other colours together. It's very exciting. Thank you, Dorothy. In the meantime, we are going to be joined on next Tuesday or Monday or Tuesday, one or the other, where we will finish off our placemat. So we will have a beautiful little border round on it, and it will be gorgeously complete. We hope. It should be. Anyway, thank you very much for joining us. Don't forget to like, subscribe and share. Do all those wonderful things that you guys pretty much always do for me. And to join us on our lives at 4 p.m. Wednesday afternoons and 10 a.m. Saturday mornings, Melbourne, Australia time. Marry that up with your country once again. My name is Mary and this is Wow Crochet Designs. Ciao for now.